Imagine you are on a ship. The night is black, the sea is angry. Waves crash against the hull, each one a hammer blow, but this is normal. Sailors expect this. They know the rhythm of the ocean, the rise and fall. Then, something changes. The rhythm breaks. Out of the darkness, a wall of water rises, not a wave, a moving cliff. It towers over the ship, ready to swallow everything whole. For centuries, sailors told stories of these impossible waves, dismissed as myths, tall tales over too much rum, stuff of sea monsters and ghost ships, not science, whispered in ports around the world. Survivors described a hole in the sea, followed by a wave that blotted out the horizon. Ships vanished without a trace, lost to a force no one could explain. These were demons of the deep, born in the open ocean, leaving wreckage and bewildered survivors who struggled to make others believe. The legends were terrifyingly consistent. The ocean was not as predictable as the charts suggested. So what exactly is a rogue wave? In simple terms, it is a wave that is exceptionally large compared to the surrounding waves. Scientists have a specific definition. A rogue wave is a surface wave whose height is more than twice the significant wave height. Most are around 10 feet tall. Suddenly, a wave that is 50, 60, or even 100 feet tall appears out of nowhere. That is a rogue wave. It is an outlier, a statistical freak that shouldn't exist but does. These waves are not just big, they are also dangerously steep and powerful. But a rogue can strike from the side, causing it to capsize instantly. They are often described as having a deep trough in front of them, which sailors call a hole in the sea. A ship can fall into this hole, and before it has time to recover, the massive wall of water behind it crashes down, breaking the vessel's back. The force is immense, far beyond what most ships are designed to withstand. The scary part is their unpredictability. They rise up from the sea, travel for a few minutes, and then vanish back into the chaos of the waves. For sailors, the scientific definition doesn't capture the sheer terror of the experience. For most of the 20th century, the scientific establishment was united in its disbelief. The idea of a single monstrous wave appearing in a field of smaller waves simply did not fit their models of the ocean. According to the prevailing scientific theory, the linear model, the sea state was a combination of many small waves. While these waves could combine, the model predicted that a wave more than twice the size of the average was so statistically improbable, it would only happen once every 10,000 years. To scientists sitting in comfortable labs, the sailors' stories sounded like folklore, not data. This skepticism was rooted in the tools and mathematics of the time. Oceanographers relied on wave prediction models that assumed a normal distribution similar to a bell curve. In this view, extreme outliers, like a 100-foot wave in a 30-foot sea, were essentially impossible. The models worked well for predicting average sea conditions, designing ports, planning shipping routes under normal weather. They created a picture of an ocean that was fundamentally orderly and predictable, even in a storm. The lack of hard evidence was a major factor. They were fleeting, temporary events that occurred in the vast, empty expanse of the open ocean. All that remained was debris, or nothing at all. The stories were just that, stories. The scientists weren't hiding the truth maliciously. They simply couldn't see it because their own theories and tools blinded them to the possibility. While scientists debated theories in their offices, sailors on the high seas knew the truth with a certainty born of experience. Their knowledge was not written in textbooks but passed down through generations of mariners. It was a practical, hard-won wisdom. They had seen waves that defied explanation. They gave them names like freak waves, king waves, three sisters, a series of 3 large waves. The stories are numerous and chilling. In 1942, during World War II, the Queen Mary, converted into a troop ship, was carrying over 15,000 American soldiers. Off the coast of Ireland, a gigantic wave, estimated at 92 feet, smashed into its side. The colossal ship listed to 52 degrees, just 3 degrees short of capsizing. Decades later, in 1978, the German supertanker MS München sent out a garbled distress call from the mid-Atlantic and then vanished. The massive search that followed found only a few bits of wreckage, including a lifeboat that had been stored 65 feet above the water, showing signs of an extreme force from above. Sailors knew that sometimes, the ocean just produced a wave that was different. They learned to respect this possibility, even if they couldn't predict it. Their testimony was the first and, for a long time, the only data set on these extreme events. They were the lonely witnesses to the ocean's most violent secret, a secret the rest of the world was not yet ready to hear. The story of the Queen Mary is one of the most famous and harrowing accounts of a rogue wave encounter. It was December of 1942 and the world was at war. The magnificent ocean liner, once a symbol of luxury travel, had been painted a drab navy gray, repurposed as a troop transport, nicknamed the Gray Ghost, prized for her speed, able to outrun German U-boats. On this voyage, carrying more than 15,000 American soldiers across the treacherous North Atlantic, vital to the Allied war effort. The ship was dangerously overcrowded, but speed and capacity were paramount. About 700 miles off the coast of Scotland, the Queen Mary sailed into a fierce gale. The seas were running high with waves around 50 feet. For a ship of her size, over 1,000 feet long, this was rough but not unmanageable. Then, without warning, the ship was struck by a colossal wave. It wasn't a head-on collision. The wave hit the ship broadside. Survivors described it as a wall of water that seemed to come out of nowhere, lifting the massive vessel up and up, before violently throwing it on its side. The ship heeled over to an angle of 52 degrees. Water poured in through broken portholes and ventilators. On the decks below, soldiers' gear equipment were thrown across the ship in a chaotic and deadly avalanche. The noise was deafening. The shriek of twisting metal, the roar of the water, the screams of terrified men. For a few terrifying moments, the Queen Mary lay on her side, seemingly on the brink of capsizing. Slowly, agonizingly, the great ship righted herself. The official report estimated the wave's height at 92 feet. It was a number that, at the time, seemed impossible. For decades, the stories piled up, but scientific skepticism remained. What was needed was irrefutable scientific proof. That proof finally arrived on January 1, 1995. It didn't come from a ship in distress, but from a gas platform in the North Sea called the Draupner platform. This sturdy structure was built to withstand the harshest conditions the notoriously rough North Sea could throw at it. It was equipped with a suite of advanced scientific instruments, including a laser-based wave recorder that was meticulously measuring the sea surface around it. On that New Year's Day, the weather was bad. Significant wave heights of around 12 meters or about 39 feet. The platform was being battered by the storm, but everything was within expected limits. Then, at 3:20 p.m., the laser recorder captured something extraordinary. Amidst the 39-foot waves, a single, monstrous wave rose up. The instrument recorded a maximum wave height of 25.6 meters or about 84 feet. It was more than twice the significant wave height. It was a perfect textbook example of a rogue wave. And this time, it was not an exaggerated sailor's tale. It was a precise, digital measurement from a trusted scientific instrument. The data was undeniable. The monster was real. The Draupner wave, as it came to be known, was the smoking gun. The Draupner wave proved that rogues existed at a single point in the ocean. But how common were they? To answer this question, scientists needed a way to watch the entire ocean at once. The solution was in the sky. Satellites equipped with radar altimeters, which can measure the height of the sea surface with incredible precision, offered a new way to hunt for these ocean monsters. They could scan vast swaths of the ocean, collecting millions of data points on wave heights. The European Space Agency, or ESA, launched a project called MaxWave to systematically search for rogue waves, ERS-1, ERS-2 satellites. Scientists analyzed 3 weeks of radar data collected from all over the globe, which covered a huge area of the ocean's surface. They were looking for the same signature that the Draupner platform had recorded. A single, exceptionally tall wave in a field of much smaller ones. The results of the study were staggering. They expected to find maybe one or two, if any. Instead, in just that 3-week period, they identified more than 10 individual giant waves that were over 25 meters, or 82 feet high. This discovery completely overturned the old thinking. Rogue waves were not a once-in-a-millennium phenomenon. They were happening all the time, all over the world. The satellites revealed rogue wave hotspots, areas where these giants were more likely to form, often where strong currents clash with the prevailing wave patterns. Knowing that rogue waves are real and relatively common is not just an academic curiosity, it is a matter of life and death. For centuries, ships have been built and operated under the assumption that the ocean behaves in a predictable way. The scientific confirmation of rogue waves has forced a complete reevaluation of maritime safety standards. Marine architects and engineers now have to account for the possibility of these extreme events when they design ships. A vessel's structural integrity, the strength of its hull, the security of its cargo all have to be designed to withstand forces that were once considered impossible. This new understanding has a direct impact on the safety of everyone at sea, from sailors on massive container ships, passengers on cruise liners, workers on offshore platforms. Better science leads to better forecasting. This allows ships to receive warnings and alter their course to avoid dangerous areas. Weather routing. The economic implications are also enormous. The global economy depends on shipping. Over 90% of the world's trade travels by sea. The loss of a single large container ship can mean hundreds of millions of dollars in lost cargo and vessel, not to mention the devastating environmental damage if it's a tanker. Ultimately, the story of the Rogue Wave is a lesson in humility. It shows the importance of listening to the people who have first-hand experience, even when their stories sound unbelievable. It took science a long time to catch up, but now that it has, we are all safer for it, and to treat the sea with the respect it demands. Narrator, Vo. The discovery and confirmation of rogue waves marked a huge leap forward in our understanding of the ocean. Narrator, Vo. But it also opened up a whole new set of questions. Narrator, Vo. We now know that they exist, but we are still working to fully understand the precise mechanics of their formation. Narrator, Vo. Is it one single process, or do different types of rogue waves form in different ways? Narrator, Vo. These are the questions that today's oceanographers are tackling using supercomputers. Narrator, Vo. And advanced wave pools to simulate these complex and violent events. Narrator, Vo. The search is also on for better ways to predict them in real time. Narrator, Vo. The Holy Grail would be a system that could detect a rogue wave as it is forming, and give a ship a crucial few minutes of warning. Narrator, Vo. Researchers are experimenting with new types of radar that can scan the sea surface ahead of a ship. Narrator, Vo. And identify the telltale signs of a developing monster wave. Narrator, Vo. This would give the captain time to turn the ship's bow into the wave, the safest orientation. Narrator, Vo. Potentially saving the vessel and the lives of its crew. Narrator, Vo. This journey into the heart of the rogue wave phenomenon reminds us that the ocean is the last great wilderness on our planet. Narrator, Vo. It covers more than 70% of the Earth's surface. Narrator, Vo. Yet we have explored less of it than we have the surface of the moon. Narrator, Vo. It holds secrets we are only just beginning to uncover, from new forms of life in the deepest trenches. Narrator, Vo. To the fundamental physics that govern its surface. Narrator, Vo. It teaches us that nature is always more complex. Narrator, Vo. The waves will continue to roll. Narrator, Vo. And we will continue to watch, learn, and try to understand the immense and beautiful power of the planet's oceans.